So One Piece Season 2, Episode 2 has dropped, and I'm going to be honest, my last episode review, there was a lot of things to take away from it. Even Season 1 had a lot of positive moments. I feel like this particular episode is the most unlike One Piece that the live action has ever been. For starters, we go up Reverse Mountain and down. This part's actually pretty good. It follows the storyline well. My only issue is Luffy was very serious for most of this, whereas Luffy tends to be, even when he's serious, is still kind of goofy. I know the live action wants to ground it, make it a little more real, but that's kind of the point. This isn't real. This is, a goofy pirate story. This is what's happening. So, I didn't think that part was great. But then the part with Laboon, they go in. From here, everything goes off the rails from what I think, and I don't even mean in a what we expect as One Piece fans way, I just mean in an adaptation way. Because I said this in the last video, you're not going to get a one-to-one of a book, of a comic, of a video game, anything like that, because those stories are so much longer than you can do in a TV show or a movie. You have to make certain changes. There are changes here that I just did not understand. Crocus not being inside of Laboon, you can almost convince me of that one, but the whole point is the species of Laboon is an island whale. They're literally whales the size of islands. That's the point. They're supposed to be huge. And the way everything happened, they need to find a part inside of Laboon, and then Sanji fights Mr. Nine, and Zoro's kind of doing his own thing, and he's aloof, he's not present, and none of that really felt organic or necessary. And then Luffy talking to Crocus and trying to convince him, hey, I need my crew, they've got to, I got to get them out. He didn't feel convincing to me. They also, it felt like they wanted Luffy to be more serious in this too, which also didn't make a lot of sense to me either. There's a part where Crocus is mixing up the sedative and Luffy's just kind of waiting. That's not really who Luffy is. Luffy would have been finding a way to get under the water, to do something to get to Laboon, and it just really felt different from what the original story was. Now, I know, again, take it with a grain of salt, all of this gets Oda's sign-off. He says this is good. So he was okay with this. I just, as a fan, it did not feel like One Piece to me. Everybody felt out of pocket for who they were. And then there's this whole thing where Miss Wednesday is picking on Nami for being a bad navigator, and it has to be Crocus that encourages her. There's something very similar in the manga there that happens, but it didn't feel to the extent that it was. And it really felt to me like they just had to do this for A, to re-encourage Nami, but also B, hey, we're a crew and we're cohesive and we're together. And I honestly felt like they did that part in the first episode of this season. So it felt like a lot of that was really unnecessary. We got a flashback of the Rum Bar Pirates, and I'm going to be honest, we didn't see them nearly as much as I thought we would. I know they're a very small part of the story, and we don't get the rest of their story until Brook during the Thriller Bark arc. For those of you who don't know, and you're watching this spoiler-filled review anyway, Brook was the one playing the violin. He's actually going to show up again later in the story. And I guess we're going to go ahead and talk about this because everyone wants to talk about it. The idea of casting and the race swapping idea. Here's what's I find interesting. Oda has given us the real world ethnicities of these people. Like, if they were born in this world, where would they be from? And really, he's only given us where they're from, but from that, you can reasonably assume that certain people are going to be a certain ethnicity or skin tone, however you want to do that. In a perfect world, it wouldn't matter what the skin tone of someone is. If you're the best person for the job, you're the best for the job. That's not what we've been seeing in Hollywood for I don't know how long at this point. It's just been about throw people at it regardless. But there's two different castings here that I want to talk about specifically. The first being Brook. Brook is Austrian, or would be Austrian if he was born in our world, according to Eiichiro Oda. However, I thought the actor did a pretty good job. He felt like Brook to me. He was really fun. And most of the time we see Brook, he's a skeleton. But they did make him darker skinned. Someone with darker skin could be from Austria, but when you read that, your typical thought is, oh, a native Austrian, someone who looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's from Austria. But it didn't bother me that much because all the other castings have been so good. This is what I'm talking about. If everyone else is good, you get to someone like Brooke and you go, hey, we know he should be one thing, but this guy is the perfect guy for the role. And he kind of felt like that. He felt like a really good cast. But at the same time, I definitely understand there comes a point where you have to go, are we doing this exactly the way it's supposed to be or not? And I do think there's also a difference between telling a story of someone who's real and then telling a story of someone who's fictional. Obviously, Brooke is fictional, but we have his real world ethnicity. That's something, but it didn't bog me down and it didn't bother me. But then we look at Miss Wednesday, which does not bother me, but I find it interesting. A lot of people are upset that Miss Wednesday's ethnicity is someone of Egyptian, or because I believe she's Egyptian. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, just put that in the comments. But someone who is of that particular descent, where she's from Alabasta. That's what she would have been. So I don't understand people being upset with Miss Wednesday, Vivi, and Igaram being what they are, but I definitely understand people being upset with Brooke. That one doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm not going to get into all that and keep talking about it. I do understand it. I think if you want to follow a story one-to-one, it's got to be that way. I wouldn't tell a story about the native peoples of the Congo and cast everyone who is Caucasian, just like I wouldn't tell a story about King Arthur and everybody be from South America. None of that makes sense. But here's the difference. This is also a work of fiction, and at the same time, Vivi and Igaram are appropriately casted to match the real-world ethnicities that they would have been. Brooke is not, but he felt all right to me. Do with that what you will. People who are for it are going to hate that because I'm talking about it and they don't like that. People who are against it aren't going to like it because I said I was okay with the Brooke one. So I don't know. Do with that what you will. I get tired of seeing someone where they go, hey, here's a character. By the way, we're going to make them a different ethnicity. Like, just stop. Just make the character the character. Again, in a perfect world, if you didn't care, if it wasn't about what they looked like and you weren't trying to push an agenda one way or the other, and just said, we want the best person for the job, then I wouldn't care. This is a one-piece review. We're throwing all that garbage out. We're not going to talk about it anymore. We're done with that. But honestly, those weren't problems for the episode. The problem was all with the story. We get to the part where, we're at the part where Luffy tries to get Laboon to spit his crew out, and he tries to fight him, but nothing happens. Like in the manga, in the anime, Luffy actually fights Laboon. He's throwing punches, he rips off a part of a boat and stabs Laboon with it. It's a whole thing of respect. That doesn't happen here. It just, Luffy sings Binks's brew. Laboon comes up and he's tearful, and Luffy gives him this, I know some people leave, but some people stay. That didn't feel like Luffy at all. And he was trying to convince Crocus, we got to tell him that, they're never coming back. And Crocus is like, you aren't convinced your crew's not coming back. None of this felt like Luffy. It didn't feel like Crocus. It didn't feel like the crew. It didn't feel like Laboon. And Laboon's just a whale. Which we're going to talk about Laboon. He looked okay. He looked very good for CGI. Remember, this is a TV show. They don't have the budget, so he looked good. Still, there's moments where I go, that's clearly a CGI character. Especially the lips. CGI still cannot get lips right, regardless whether it's a human or an animal. But that's neither here nor there. So all of this fell out. And by the way, while we're at it, let's talk about Binks's brew. I know a lot of people who are big fans of the manga will call it Binks's sake, because that's what it technically is. Binks's brew is the English transliteration. They're singing the English version. That's the version I'm more familiar with. I watch the anime mostly in English. I'm at the point in my life where I don't want to read subtitles. I want to watch the action. I was a subtitle guy for a long time. Now I'm not. I think a lot of English voice actors do a great job, so I don't really care anymore at this point. But you can tell there's a little bit of difference because they have to make the difference. They have to change it. It has to rhyme. But even this version, I have to look it up. I should have looked it up before I recorded this, but I don't think those are the exact words from the version. They could have changed it. I don't know. For all I know, that is the one from the English version, but that's Binks's brew. They kept the rhythm, they kept the song, which, by the way, the guy who plays Brooke, phenomenal job singing the song. I was very convinced. His yo-ho-ho-ho is great. Like I said, if he's the best guy for the job, I don't care. He does a good job. He's going to be a skeleton anyway. But I don't understand it. But this whole episode just felt unlike One Piece. Everywhere. And so with the Straw Hats, they finally sail away, and they're like, hey, we're locked onto an island. They're having these theories. It just felt that place. Sanji being scared to move a dead guy kind of felt like Sanji, but not really. I just hope this episode is a blip on the map, because the biggest problems, aside from the Straw Hats, was really with who I thought was the casting MVP of episode 1. If you watched that, I thought Tashigi's casting was great. Episode 2, I thought it was bad. Nothing about the way her character is written is convincing. I don't like that she's disobeying Smoker. That doesn't feel like Tashigi. Her spying on a meeting, that does kind of feel like her, but her standing up and arguing and blah, 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 that doesn't feel like Tashigi at all. And then Garp is here again. Now we know Garp heads into the Grand Line, and we know Smoker eventually chases Luffy into the Grand Line, but now he's chasing after Baroque Works. And they spent so much time of this episode setting up the idea of who's Baroque Works. Again, in a live action version, I get that. Let's talk about Baroque Works and who we're going to go meet. But it felt very out of place. Like, I guess now Garp is just a staple of the series. I guess we're going to follow him all through this and all through Alabasta and then all the way up through Thriller Bark and, well, even before Thriller Bark, so through Water 7 and Enies Lobby before he finally leaves Luffy alone? Or is he going to keep... I don't know anymore. Garp was there. Kobe and Helmeppo were there. Kobe has this little talk with Tashigi. That felt out of place too. And then, of course, Tashigi takes the advice. And honestly, that was the biggest problem with Tashigi was that, and the way that she's acting in this one. And then with Garp and Smoker, the way Garp talks to Smoker felt, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. He's telling Smoker, you're hard-headed, you can do this, that doesn't feel like Garp. And the way Smoker was talking, that didn't feel like Smoker either, especially the way he was demeaning of Garp. I've always got the sense that Smoker and Garp have a great respect for each other. And Garp is very serious in this iteration. In the original, in the manga, Garp's a little goofy. He's Luffy's grandfather. He's got that goofiness, that aloofness, but he can flip the switch and be serious. And that's kind of the problem with Luffy too, is Luffy has a switch. That serious switch. When he flips that switch, things are real. The problem is the switch is always on. I feel like they just needed to let Luffy be Luffy and be kind of goofy and out there. And the same with Garp. He needs to be aloof. He needs to not be present right now, or just kind of mentioned offhand. They did drop all of the code names, the Mr. Zero. There was one fun moment I really liked where Luffy wakes up after fighting Laboon and he's asking Dodon to sleep a little longer. So we got a Dodon name drop. That was fun. But outside of that, I don't know, man. This episode felt like a big misstep. Now, there are 6 more episodes to go in this season. We're going to get Chopper. We're going to get some other things. From what I've seen of early screenshots, everything looks amazing. The casting looks amazing. I'm just hoping the story follows. We know Hirulek's going to have the crazy hair. They gave Crocus the behind-the-head feathers. So there's clearly some attempt to do some of the out there. I just want to see it. I want them to commit to it. So that's what I hope. I hope episode 3, season 2 is much better. But this one really fell flat. Missed the mark. But it is a long season. We'll see, hopefully. That said, I do want to talk about the episode title. It was called Good Whale Hunting. A lot of the episode titles for this season, I went ahead and looked ahead at them. There's nothing spoiling it for me. I already know the story, at least the original, that they're following. And a lot of these titles are fun. They got some quirky names. Good Whale Hunting, that's a fun one. But again, call it whatever you want. The episode, I thought, really missed the mark. So you let me know what you thought in the comments below. Don't forget to share, leave a like. And if you had a completely different opinion, absolutely put it in the comments. We can talk about it. But until next time, thanks for watching.